If you've ever posted an injector job, crossed your fingers and thought, please let me find someone amazing, only to find out that after sorting through an overwhelming number of resumes, or let's say hiring someone who's just up and out of there in no time, right? Didn't even last 90 days, then you are in the right place because I'm going to be talking about and showing you why your current hiring efforts might be missing the mark and how to fix it so that you really can start attracting that top talent that is going to perform for you, that aligns with your culture and actually stays with you long term. This isn't just about hiring someone to fill a warm seat in the treatment room. It's about building a team of injector rock stars, top aestheticians, amazing front desks, right? Top of the line practice managers, team members that is going to help grow your brand, love your patients, treat your baby like it's their baby, and stay long enough to make real impact at the end of the day. So, how do we do this? So many practices, unfortunately, are doing this wrong or don't have the right strategy or just the time to do it correctly. So they come to us. And listen, guys, we're happy to do this for you, but I want you to know that it's absolutely possible for you to do this yourself with the right strategy, process, and marketing. Yep, I said it. You should be marketing your recruitment opportunities. And I'm going to be breaking that down, what that looks like. But first, let's talk about just the real truth here. Hiring the wrong injector, the wrong team member is expensive. It is costing you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, so much time, so much heartache, right? It's not just the dollars, but it's the energy drain. It's the damage that it does to your culture and your brand equity at the end of the day. And I've seen med spas lose, thousands of dollars in training costs. Their reputation of having inconsistent results or high turnover with staff members. And frankly, the impact on team morale because the wrong person created friction within the team. And worst of all, momentum. 2 steps forward, 1 step back is a real killer when you are trying to reach your revenue goals. And I get it, right? On paper, it looked like a good hire. It looked like a good job posting. They interviewed well. Maybe even they had a great IG of before and after pictures themselves, but they didn't perform. They didn't fit within your culture. And now you're back at square one. So I'd love to bring in one of our amazing operation consultants, Amanda, and share with us what she's seeing, the massive, negative impact that a bad hire is having on med spas all across the country and what the potential impact and transformation that you've seen when practices get this right, especially around the important injector position, right? What happens when we get this wrong, when we have that opening that just doesn't get filled? And then share with us what you're seeing on the massive impact and transformation when a med spa gets that injector position right.
So the cost of a bad hire, especially in aesthetics, it can be enormous and it goes far beyond just salary. So Caitlin already mentioned the financial cost, the reputation damage. Your word of mouth is everything. The opportunity cost. When you're dealing with the wrong hire, the right person is really going somewhere else. So what we're doing is we are rehiring, retraining, investing in new hires. Now, what happens when you get it right? We actually have somebody on this call who had a really bad hire and was suffering tremendously. And we got that right person in there, and they're on track to do $500,000 this year alone in their first year. That is astronomical. Their upselling and retention, that right person. I always say that you can train anyone to do Botox, but you can't train somebody to have a personality and be that charismatic human, right? So we always want to have that right person and train them up on the didactic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you were talking about that not only is that they have to generate great results for the patient, but at the end of the day, it's not just about the didactics, right? But also to be able to build that relationship, that rapport, for them to be on the same page as the business as well, and care about hitting KPIs and benchmarks and revenue goals at the end of the day, right? Share the same core values and want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. Oftentimes, people just focus on, do they do beautiful lips? Can they get rid of wrinkles? That is absolutely important. I'm not discounting that, but it's only a small piece of the puzzle. And so, big takeaway is that you're not just hiring a pair of hands, right? You're really hiring an ambassador for your business that happens to have a syringe in her hand, right? And to achieve that, to attract that and retain that, it requires a different approach. So let's first take a look at why that job post isn't working for you, right? And first and foremost is most injector job posts I see sound something like this. Busy med spa looking for a passionate injector to join our team. You must have at least 1 year experience. Now, the problem with this is that that job post isn't speaking to the person that you want to attract. So let's break that down and really what I find 5 most common mistakes around your job post. So the first one is that, guys, it just sounds way too generic. There's no soul, there's no passion, there's no hook to it. Remember, I was talking to you about there should be a major element and strategy for your recruitment that's centered around marketing, right? And you absolutely want to hook, right? Top injectors out there, they have options. They're not scrolling Indeed looking for another list of responsibilities, right? You got to stop writing job posts like you're checking boxes and start writing them like you're casting a vision and you're manifesting the type, that ideal injector that you want to be a part of your dream team. The next thing is that you're selling them a job opportunity, right? You're selling them that job and casting that vision, right? You're oftentimes business owners think that their business is special, that their opportunity is special, and you really need to reverse it and sell them. If you want top talent that has options available to them, not just like the newbie, like fresh out of getting certified. But if you really want that top talent, you have to sell them on buying you, on buying your brand, your business, and wanting to join your team. Because they're looking for a brand that they can be proud to represent. They want an opportunity to have growth in their career. They're likely wanting mentorship. They want a team that they can vibe with and be excited, enjoy to go to work. So if your post doesn't show them that future that they desire, pass. They're going to keep moving. Okay. The next common mistake is you're not selling culture fit, right? You don't want just anyone who can inject. You want someone that really aligns with your core values. Otherwise, you're going to be butting heads after the first 30, 60, 90 days when the newness runs off. If you don't share the same core values, it's not going to work long term. So, why are we not talking about that in our job posting? Why are we not talking about that in the interview process? Now, this is also important in saying is that, guys, you can't just create core values, put it in your company handbook, and then never talk about them. You have to provide feedback around your core values. You have to train around your core values. You have to provide consequences, rewards around your core values, right? So, but if the job doesn't reflect your culture, your energy, your why, then again, you're going to keep attracting the wrong ones. Okay, the fourth common mistake is that you're not using social proof. So, if a great injector finds your post, they're likely going to be stalking you on Instagram, right? They're going to be looking at your website, they're going to be looking at your reviews. So, ask yourself, does your brand show up as a place where top talent wants to work? Do you have a lot of Google reviews, right? What's your social media feed look like? Is injectables a part of your story, right? Your passion, your service mix? And I'm not just saying because you offer it, right? We all know the difference between it really, being a part of your service mix and your brand story versus an afterthought. So you want to showcase that, right? Your job post should link to your Instagram. It should link to meet your team page or behind the scene videos of what it's like to be a part of your team. Let them feel the brand that they are applying for and why they want to be a part of it. One of the things in our recruitment process is like I use the language that I use every single day with my team, right? I'm telling in my recruitment process, like I'm looking for my next diamond girl, right? I want a passionate person that is excited to join and be selected as my next diamond girl, right? I'm building a brand around that exclusivity to get them excited about being something a part of something that is bigger than themselves, right? I'm just not listing the responsibilities and job duties of the position, right? I'm casting a vision for what's possible in their career, in their life, and being a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And that's vastly different than just listing job responsibilities at the end of the day. Now, this last one is one of the biggest mistakes that I see around specifically injectors, because the compensation plan can really vary greatly based on, state, market, experience, credentials, you name it, right? Is it an hourly? Is it a salary? Is it an hourly plus a commission? Is it a variable? Do we call it a bonus? Is it on net profit or gross profit? There's so many different ways to skin a cat here. And at the end of the day, the best way or where I'm seeing the biggest mistake around it is they're saying it too flat or cut and dry, and it's not speaking to your target audience, right? If your target audience is a high performing injector, then you need to share what's possible for on target earnings. Now, some people get really scared about this because they don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. They're like uncertain about their numbers to even share what the potential earnings are. But again, this is where you got to know your numbers, guys, because if you just leave it at a flat hourly rate and then put plus commission and don't get into the details of that, then you may have missed out on a top injector because she's used to a different structure in her compensation plan, and she can't do the math to figure out what the potential on earnings are if she was able to do the same thing at your practice. So for example, instead of just saying $40 or $60 plus commission, if you can do the math of if you meet with this many patients with this average revenue per hour for this many days in the month, the on target earning should be $125,000, $150,000, $200,000, whatever it may be. And you should, if you already have other team members, have a baseline of what you paid them last year, right? And so, and then if you want them, expect them to do a little bit more or maybe buffer it a little bit less, that's how you're able to communicate what on target earnings are without promising that, right? And then when we get into the interview and the details, we can be much more specific of what the parameters are. And then this is our plan of how we're going to deliver you patients, right, to be able to meet that on target earnings. And this is what we expect from you in order to be able to achieve those on target earnings, right? This is what we expect from you to contribute to the growth of your book of business. This is the KPIs and benchmarks that we are looking for you to hit. So do you see how that conversation, not only in your job posting, but in the interview process, is going to attract and start conversations with a different level of candidate than if all you do is list job responsibilities, if all you do is list a flat hourly rate and, you know, plus commission, not even being detailed about that. Or maybe you tell them what the commission is, but again, you don't get into the details of, you know, what your volume of patients is likely to look like, you know, from one practice to the next. That can vary greatly based on your expectations of, are they going to be just doing Botox and filler? Are they going to be doing devices? Are they going to do a high volume of IV therapy or medical weight loss that decreases revenue per hour, right? All of those things matter and how you're going to be able to get them to that on target earnings. So you need to be thinking about those. So those are really the 5 most common mistakes that I'm seeing of why your job posting is not attracting and helping you to retain that top talent at the end of the day. And it's so much more than just, you know, getting that job posting right. As I had mentioned before, is you got to market the career opportunities at your med spa, right? You got to market that on your website. You got to market that on your social channels, on your link tree. You got to create content around it. You got to create a vibe, a culture that people want to be a part of at the end of the day. Okay, so let's talk about kind of that framework of how to really create a magnetic job post that is going to help you attract that top talent. So again, we do this for our clients, but it's possible for you to do this yourself. And once you do this, just continue to fine tune it. And then it's not about reinventing the wheel each time. It's just about reloading and continue to grow and scale your team or learn from where you could have done better the previous time to just not just get, you know, and replace new people coming in, but to continue to level up. One of the things that I'm really passionate about at Diamond Accelerator is that when we bring a new hire on, I never want to go backwards in what my expectations are of the quality of work and results that I think that they can do. If I talk to a candidate in the interview process, if I don't think that they can match or go beyond our current team, I'm not going to consider hiring them, right? So it's a mindset that you need to have that of not just accepting or lowering your expectations. But I have to tell you, I had to do a lot of work in marketing my career opportunities and my recruitment process before I ever had the right or could really execute implementing that mindset of we're only continuing to level up our diamond girls, right? We're not looking for mediocre. We're not going backwards. We're only leveling up. And when I increased my marketing efforts and building my culture and my brand and showing them what it's like to be a diamond girl, what it's like to be a part of our culture and our vibe, I attracted a next level of talent. And I know you can too. So, how to create kind of that magnetic vibe in your job posts. So, the very first thing is again, it's about marketing, guys, is that we want to create that emotional hook in your headline. So you want to call out injectors that are ready to be the go-to face, right? In what, no, regardless of if it's for a device, if it's for medical weight loss, if it's for body contouring, if it's for being an injector in your specific city. So call them out, right? Tell them exactly what you're looking for. So I try not to be too boring in my job posts. I like to use emojis. I like to say that I'm looking for like I call out, and when I'm DMing my network to of telling them what I'm looking for, like I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a badass consultant, a female consultant, right? I'm being very clear of what I'm looking for in the medical aesthetic industry, that X, Y, and Z, right? I'm just not like being fluffy about it. I'm being very direct. I'm getting their attention because I'm saying I'm looking for a badass female, right? So think about that. Think about what's going to stand out and get people's attention at the end of the day. The next thing is that you want to share what your vision and culture is. And this is where it really starts in the foundation of your business and having that, but using it daily in your business, not just being one of those people that check the box, put it in your company handbook, and never talk about it. You got to drink the Kool-Aid here, and then it really will come across authentically when you make it a part of that job posting as well. But you got to be very clear on what that vision and culture looks like. The next thing is that what is the opportunity that you are offering? And the opportunity, guys, it can't just be a job. It has to be so much more than that, especially for an injector, especially for a practice manager. There are so many opportunities out there, and the pool is so small compared to the opportunity. Is that if you can't cast a vision of what really is possible here when it's so much more than a job, then you're not going to attract that top talent, right? So is it training? Is it professional growth? Is it mentorship? Is it a work-life balance? Is it, just like a vibe, a culture, a really fun environment? Not just about the duty. So get really clear about that. Make sure that you can share what a day in the life in their position, in their role looks like. Help them picture it, right? What will it feel like to walk in your door every single morning and be a part of your team and serve your patients? And then the last thing, and again, very, very important, is that you need to be transparent about the comp plan, right? You need to be very clear on what you need them, want them, tell them what to do on how to apply for the opportunity. So be very clear and simple about what the call to action is. Apply here, DM us here, right? Start the conversation on DM on IG if you want. Just be very clear. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. And the final thing is right, got to be clear on what that comp plan is. I'm a huge advocate for being able to cast the vision of what the potential income is for them, and not just making it a flat hourly rate and commission. That's fine, right? We can get into the nitty gritty in the interview process, but cast the vision of what's impossible for the right injector, for the top injector that you're looking to hire. And that's going to help start that conversation with them. Because otherwise, if you keep it, dry and vanilla around hourly and commission, can't do the math. They won't do the math, and you're not even going to start the conversation with them. All right. So I'd like to bring Amanda back in here as she's helping place injectors all across the country with our clients. And what is it that when you've been able to really attract and then place these top talents in practices where you've been able to, these experienced injectors that have good, stable jobs, what is it that gives them the confidence to be like, okay, I'm going to jump. I'm going to make the move. Amanda, what is it that you're seeing out there that helps these top injectors to not just make the move, but to stay long-term?
Absolutely. What I see is that no matter what industry you're in, it's a small world, right? So your brand reputation is everything from previous hires, current hires, we want to make sure that we are really presenting a strong and united front and to have that really great culture. And I always look at hiring at a little bit like dating, right? So, yes, we want to make sure they have all the didactic skills and we really want to make sure that we like them. And this is an in-person job, right? Where you're with these people 40 hours a week. And we want to make sure that our vibe is really the right one. And so sometimes it takes a little bit longer to find that right person. Can we plug in somebody who can do Botox? Sure, no problem. We can hire that in one day. But if we're really looking for that dynamic injector who is going to change the revenue flow, then that's where we're really diving in and where your brand reputation and culture comes into place because everyone in your area knows you. And that is doesn't matter if you're in New York City, LA, or somewhere in Kentucky, right? It does not matter. Everyone knows everybody. And that's where we really want to attract that culture. And that's what would attract us to Diamond, that would attract us to anything. And no matter what field you're in, really. And we all have, whether you're in finance or a physician, we all have clients, right? And so we are all selling ourselves as well as digging in and seeing what those top tier injectors are looking for. And they're looking for culture, stability, longevity. People don't just want to job hop, they want to have a long lasting career, right? And that's what we're really building is that strength, that stability, and that culture. And that's really going to drive your revenue overall across your team, whether it's somebody on the spa side, the injectable side, or the managerial side.
Yeah, absolutely. As you were saying that, it was just making me think about how many times our recruitment team has found amazing top talent, right? And we vetted them. We've done the psychological interviews, we've done the tactical, the consultation, we've seen their, before and after pictures, all of the things. We're like, oh, this she is amazing. Yes, we want her, right? And then we schedule final interviews with the medspa owner, or and they go and they like her, but then the candidate declines them, and they could decline them when the owner or the team, the practice manager, right, shows up to that interview with a chip on their shoulder, kind of like, well, tell me why I should choose you. And they're forgetting that they need to be selling their brand, their practice, their culture, their vision to this candidate just as much as the candidate should be selling them on why they should choose them. It's mutually expected, in my opinion, to find that perfect marriage. And so it just kills us when a candidate comes back when we're like, oh, we want you. And they're just like, no, like, I want to resend my application because the culture is bad, right? I wouldn't be a good fit there. I wouldn't be happy there. Had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with the volume of patients that they would be seeing or the service mix that you have to offer, but in the sense of they just didn't see being happy there long term, that having a home there long term. And it had nothing to do with money, right? Sometimes it does. But oftentimes when we get a no, it's not about money. It's about culture and vibing with the owner and the team. So you can't discount the fact that you have to cast them and show them a vision of what's possible. You have to, sell them on why they should want to choose your business to make a home at the end of the day. And that starts with you marketing your career opportunities on your social channels, on your website. When people apply, when they respond, when you have hot talent that is like, yes, I want to be with you, or yes, I'm interested in your opportunities. Speed matters, right? Of how quickly you respond to them and engage in that conversation and relationship. Because guys, you can teach technique, right? But you can't teach mindset. You can't teach attitude. You can't teach someone to, believe and adhere in your core values. So recruiting is marketing, recruiting is selling at the end of the day. Your job post is an ad. Make it work for you. Okay, so takeaways here, what your next steps should be. First and foremost, guys, audit your current job posts that you have out there, especially for high profile, competitive opportunities like injectors, right? Where is it falling flat? Right. And again, think about what that you're speaking, you want to try a top performer. So, what is it that you need to say and do to speak to that top performer, not just listing job responsibilities, right? Utilize the 5-part framework that I shared with you today to rewrite your job post. And then look at your brand presence through the eyes of the top talent. So think of the lens that injectors would be looking at your brand and think about, is that something that you would want to be a part of? Would you want to work there? And sometimes that can be hard to do because you're in it. Right. So maybe you need to ask a trusted friend or a colleague to see, what their opinion is when they look at what the opportunity through the lens of a top injector, what their opinion might be. And that would help you to recognize where the cracks are, or the hole in your leaky bucket in your recruitment system, because I believe recruitment should be an evergreen marketing effort, right? Just like you are constantly marketing to get new clients, you should be constantly marketing to get top talent as well. And that doesn't mean that you just keep hiring, right? But the worst thing is that you are held hostage by a underperforming employee, by an employee that generates you revenue but is a cancer to your culture, right? You never want to be held hostage by these people. You never want to be caught with, what I say, your pants down by your ankles, because suddenly your top injector that's been generating great revenue for you tells you that, she's leaving you in 2 weeks or a month, right? And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I got to replace her, right? And then you end up just replacing her with a warm body because someone's got to fill those shoes. But if your recruitment efforts are evergreen, one, it's not overwhelming. Two, you can do it long and slow and not accept mediocrity or warm bodies, but only hire that top talent. When I'm bringing on a new consultant on my team, I'm talking to them for months sometimes before I ever extend an opportunity. And what that does is make me feel great confidence when I bring them on board. I've ran them through the gamut, right? And they still are like, I want to be a diamond girl, right? That's something that I want to be a part of. And I tell you, it has served me well to continue to level up my culture, my brand, my employees, my talent pool at the end of the day. And it's less stressful, right? I've been a part of recruitment processes where it's like, oh crap, we got to fill this one yesterday, right? And what happens is we rush through it, we skip parts in the recruitment process, the hiring, the interview, right? And we're decreasing the likelihood that that's going to be a long-term fit at the end of the day. But when you have evergreen recruitment going and doing it right, that's when you attract top talent. That's when you are able to continue to level up the of who is attracted and want to be a part of what you have to offer at the end of the day. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. This is such an important piece. Regardless if you have us doing it, if you're doing it yourself, apply all of these same strategies to all of your positions, right? Not just for an injector, but for your front desk, for your estes, for your practice manager, for your patient coordinators. Every single one of the tips that I shared with you today is absolutely can be applied to every position that you have available or have to offer. And it's about building a culture. It's about building a vibe and casting that vision of what's possible for a career opportunity with you in your med spa. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me here. Make sure that you don't just show up and listen, but you really take action on the tips that I shared with you today, because getting that top injector that is going to be a real revenue driver, that is going to contribute to your brand, to your culture, to your team, is absolutely possible. Thanks so much for joining me here. Make sure to catch us live every single week, same time, same place. Catch us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thanks, guys. Bye.